Welcome to the weekly reflections of an Inner Work Guide series. In case this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Shobhali. I work as an Inner Work Guide at the nexus of coaching, therapeutic modalities, and spirituality, specifically guiding women in their inner work journeys. So, my intention for the last week was, and I'll be looking at my notes here, was to be able to pause, ease, smile before responding. Yeah. The idea being that instead of reacting to what's happening, can I pause? My intention before that was pause and respond. Then the intention was okay, pause, ease, smile, and then respond. And these two steps of easing and smiling came in from my experiencing that I was able to pause, and yet my response would not always be ideal, because at times, despite pausing, there's still tightness and rigidity in the body, and so the response is still a reaction. And I shared in the last video that you can't smile and feel rigid and unpleasant, uncomfortable emotions at the same time. You just can't. You can't be closed off and smiling at the same time. So pause, sort of just ease with the breath, just a little bit of smile, and then you may have the ability, the capacity to change your response. How did it go for me? It went pretty well, but it went well most of the time. But because most of the time I wasn't really doing a lot of actions and or interactions with people, I had a lot of time and space just for myself to just sort of chill, be laid back. And since I was laid back, since I wasn't really doing a lot of things, I wasn't interacting a lot, so it was easy for me to pause, ease, smile, and then respond to my own actions, right? And this brings me to my first reflection. This is also something that I was sharing today in we have a monthly membership. I have a monthly membership of Rooted in Chaos, and every week I hold a live guidance session every Sunday. And so in this live guidance session today, I was also sharing that the 3D and the 5D world. The 3D is this physical world, right? The physical world that we see, we can touch, we can see, we can, basically it's the tangible physical world of shapes and forms. But these shapes and forms, this 3D world is basically a projection of the 5D world, which is the world at the atomic level or the elemental level. Everything is made from these four core elements: earth, water, fire, air, and the different forms and shapes come together because of the fifth element of ether or space, right? So the 5D element is this elemental space, the world, the universe, at the level of atoms, or the energetic world, in other way, in a different way of looking at it. And this 5D world is constantly projecting the 3D world. We are conditioned to think that this 3D world, this physical 3D world, is a reality. And even those of us who practice, who like do the deeper inner work, who various spiritual practices, inner work practices, whatever you may have, when we are doing the on cushion practice, it is easy to sort of step into the 5D world of energy, bring in stability, grounding, ease, openness. It's easy to do it when I'm not engaging in the 3D world. But when I'm engaged in the 3D world, I just tend to forget that actually the 3D world is not the real world, it's just a projection of the 5D world, right? And so this sort of tussle between being in the 3D, remembering that this 3D is just a projection of the 5D. So this world that I'm operating, living in, is actually not the real world. It's just a projection of the 5D world. And so this was one of my reflections of this week. Like, how do I keep this awareness alive because I am engaging in samsara, I am engaging in this world, right? In this 3D world. But how do I not forget, while in the day-to-day of the 3D world, while engaging in this 3D world, that actually this is not the real world, this is just a projection of the real world, the 5D world. So this was one of my reflections. The second reflection was the reason it is so easy to fall into addictions, and this sort of thought came up from, so this week I had a lot of space, and it's consciously created space, and I will share my third reflection why it's been consciously created. But so there's a lot of space that I've created, and I'm experimenting with things, and so I'm playing online games, I'm sort of allowing myself to binge Netflix. I of course do the other things that I need to do, but I'm also allowing space for these things, right? And I was just noticing, like, why it's so easy to fall into these addictions of binging, whether it's an online game or food or Netflix, TV series, whatever. I don't want to just say Netflix. I think one, of course, yes, because when you're engaged in these things, it sort of numbs you, it numbs your mind, it numbs the thoughts, because some other sense overwhelms the conscious thoughts. So when you're eating food, the taste, they overwhelm your conscious thoughts. When you're watching something, the content overwhelms it. When you're playing something, again, the content overwhelms it. So one, of course, it is because it creates a sense of numbing, but the other is also because these actions are self-rewarding, right? So I'm watching the series or whatever I'm watching, whatever content I'm watching, and there is constant gratification. Something happens and then something happens, especially in, like, those twists and turns series. Something happens, then something happens, then what's next? Oh, this happens next. Oh, that happens next. So constantly I'm being gratified. Similarly with an online game, constantly there are rewards, the whole gamification. So constantly it's rewarding me. So the action itself is self-rewarding, right? And similarly with food, self-rewarding, because it's sort of feeling nice with every bite that I take. Now, as I was noticing this, how do you get out of this? This is not something that I realized this week. This is something that I've known. And I think something that I want to share here. Like, how do you get out of binges? How do you get out of addictions? The reason people stay stuck. So I don't stay stuck in any of my addictions, right? And I'll tell you why and why people stay stuck. The reason people stay stuck is because they are constantly judging themselves while doing the action. I don't do that. I used to do that, of course. And then it took me a while to be able to continue to do the action, whatever binge form, and not judge myself. And that is all that began to create the difference. I mean, you can aid and support it with various things. You can bring in physical workouts, you can bring in good sleep, you can bring in nutritious food, you can bring in all of those things. But the most important critical element is non-self-judgment. I can continue to do the action, building non-self-judgment and observation, where all of these realizations happen. Oh, this is why this addiction is there. Oh, this is why I'm doing this. Oh, this is the undercurrent that's happening. Yeah. Which brings me to my third semi-realization. So I mentioned that I'm creating sort of space in my life right now, in terms of time, in terms of the things that I do. So very, very limited actions that I'm taking these days. And the reason for this is the second time I'm reattempting. So the first time I attempted to create less work, more impact, more space and time was way back in, I think, 2016 or 2017. And it took me about 1.5 to 2 years to come to a comfortable space where I had a lot of spaciousness and flow in my day. I was doing work that I wanted, I was creating impact, and I had a lot of spaciousness and time in my day, you know. And the reason it took me 1.5 to 2 years was because I know many of us are sort of caught in this hustle culture and this sort of inner narrative and drive of, oh, I need to be doing something. If I'm not doing something, then there's something off with me. Yeah. Or there's something wrong if I'm not constantly busy. Yeah. So the whole busyness pandemic, I wanted to say, but well, the business culture, right? This idea that I have to stay busy, I have to be doing something all the time. So it took me 1.5 to 2 years of that inner struggle and battle of being like, hey, it's okay if I'm not doing anything. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't say anything about me. And then maybe for about 3-4 years, I was in this really nice, good, cool space of really chilled out, happy, content life, while also making the kind of impact that I wanted to make in the world. And then about 3 years back, I sort of changed, or I guess, you know how in a game there are levels that you cross. So I guess I had crossed a level, and then now I was entering the second or the next level. And I think somewhere in this next level, I again started repeating the same pattern of jam packing my days with stuff. Like, my work is never ending. Yes, in a way, work is never ending because life is never ending. Life doesn't end with death. Life, death, only for life again. Death is just a pause, a semicolon, right? So I think over the last like 2.5 years, I've again sort of packed up my days and my life with like just stuff. I mean, I can say actions, but really, are they actions? Are they all like actions that are leading to what I want, which is spaciousness, expansiveness, and time, right? And so once I realized that that's what I was getting caught into again, so then I've kind of taken a step back and I'm like, okay, see, I am going to do the bare minimum things that I need to do for, scratch the word need, that I want to do for my inner work, for the external work that I do, various other things. Other than that, I want to again sort of just experiment with what's happening, right? And as I was thinking about this, what came up for me was a line that one of my coaches uses, is new level, new devil. I mean, I could change the word devil with something else, but I just feel like it's a very sassy sentence, sassy statement to make. And I think that's what I want to invite in. New level, new devil. And I think that's also what I want to now move towards with respect to my intention for next week. And my intention for next week, so I've actually not put down this intention yet. I think I want to let it emerge as I'm right now talking to you, sharing my reflections of the week. New level, new devil, spaciousness and time. I think what I want to create, or what I want to practice as an intention for this coming week, is doing focused work. Okay, so focused work, what that would look like is that I do it in Pomodoro fashion. So like, I will select slots of either 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and I will choose to do a specific number of Pomodoros. I want to start with 3. So 4. I wanna start with 4 30-minute slots of focused work, and I want to free flow with what I decide to do in these 4 30-minute slots. But every single day, other than the other scheduled stuff that I have, so I do one-on-ones with clients, I do group work, group coaching, etc., etc. Other than the pre-scheduled work, I want to have 4 30-minute chunks where I just do focused work on different tasks, and let's see how it goes. Yeah. Thank you for watching this video. Do let me know if something emerged for you, something came up for you, if you have a question, if there is anything in your life that's happening right now in the space of coaching, healing, spirituality that might benefit from my 2 cents. Let me know. Take care. Until next time.